Okay, figure 2 shows the chemicals given to a student, and they've got 4 different powdered metals, X, Y, Z, and they've got dilute sulfuric acid. The student wants to investigate the reactivity of the 4 metals. Outline a plan the student could use to investigate the relative reactivity of the 4 metals. Okay, X, Y, and Z. The plan should use the fact that all 4 metals react exothermically with dilute sulfuric acid. You should name the apparatus used and comment on the safe use. Okay, so we have to talk about safe use as well. So we have to talk apparatus, safe use of the chemicals. Okay, so we've got quite a bit there. It's worth 6 marks. Okay, so exothermically, that means they give off heat. So we have to use that. Okay, so let's think about the equipment we're going to use and the method. So the first thing is we're going to well, I might draw a quick diagram to see what I've got to do. So I'm going to have a container. I'm going to put some acid in it. So that's the acid. I'm going to make sure I've got a known volume. I'm going to insulate my container. I'm going to find the temperature at the start temperature. Okay, so I'm going to find the start temp and the end temp and the temp difference. The bigger the difference, the more reactive. So I'm just scribbling some notes here for me. I'm then going to put some powder in it, some of the metal powder. I need to make sure I use the same amount each time, so I'm going to measure it using a balance. And I might put on a little, we call them a boat there, so I'm going to measure my powder on a balance. Put a lid on it, and I might give that a stir as well. Okay, so that's in my head. I sort of know what I'm going to do, how I'm going to do this. So the first thing is, and I'm going to talk whenever I can, I'm going to mention the apparatus I use. So the apparatus I'm going to use to measure the volume is going to be a measuring cylinder. So I'm going to talk about that. So the first thing is I'm going to set up my beaker. So in fact, first thing is I'm going to measure the acid. So it's important here I start each sentence with a command verb. I'm also going to put numbers in because it helps me to, if I decide I want to put something in a different, I've got it slightly out of order, I can change the numbering and it shows where things should be. So first thing I'm going to do is measure a known or constant volume of acid using a measuring cylinder. I'm going to pour acid into an insulated beaker and record start temperature. Now, because I want to make sure I get that mark for using apparatus, I'm going to say what that is using a, say how I record the temperature using a thermometer. Okay, next thing, I'm going to measure a constant mass of powder, and I'm just going to pick one of the powders first. So I'm going to use using a balance, then add to acid. Okay, so I'm going to find that, measure the constant mass of that using a balance, then I'm going to add it to the acid. I'm going to stir. 3 times and place lid. on the beaker. Okay, I want to keep that heat in, don't I? Next thing, so I've got that in there now, it's reacting away. I've got to just find that end temperature. So record maximum temperature. That's the easiest way of doing it. So maximum temperature reached. And I've always said how to record temperature, so I'm not going to write thermometer again. And calculate temperature increase. Now what I haven't actually said is the safe use of chemicals. I need to make sure here that I mention safety goggles in a moment. So 6, repeat 1 to 5 for other metals. Okay. And then I'm just going to say here, so how to make sure, because I realise I've done the apparatus, I've mentioned apparatus, I've mentioned how we're going to actually do the practical, and I'm using exothermically. What I haven't done is I haven't said about safe use. So ensure goggles used at all times. Goggles used at all times, and keep equipment in middle of desk. Okay, so wearing safety goggles, keeping in the middle of the desk. Yeah, you might add there, don't inhale it, don't, you know, make sure you don't sniff it. But I think the key one there is safety goggles. Okay, hope that helps. Take care.